Andres Manuel Lopez once said, "The U.S. and Mexico are bound, not only because of a common border, but by its shared culture and history." This has been a hot-button issue, and it has America split right down the middle. After 4 scholarly articles and many hours of research, I feel confident in telling you about this subject today. First, I'd like to talk about how the U.S.-Mexico border wall came to be. Second, why many people believe that we need to strengthen and expand this border. And lastly, why many Americans believe that it's just not doing its job. So first, let's talk about how the U.S.-Mexico border came to be. First, it started with just the Rio Grande River. U.S.-Mexico border was more or less finalized after the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. By its terms, Mexico ceded 55% of its territory. It also ended the Mexican-American War and set the border at the Rio Grande River. After the 1854 Gadsden Purchase, we got the rest of the border in Arizona and New Mexico. The Gadsden Purchase, however, didn't fix all of the financial issues and border attacks, but it did set the rest of our border for the present-day United States. The border is 1,933 miles long, but only 700 miles of that has fencing. Between San Diego and Tijuana, Mexico, there's a double high fencing that goes straight into the beach through the Pacific Ocean. Further east in Texas, there's not a lot of fencing because of the Rio Grande River. In between there's fencing of many different shapes and sizes and material, but there isn't a continuous line. So now I've told you about how the Mexico-U.S. border came to be. Now I'd like to talk about why many Americans feel we need a stronger border. Many Americans believe that we need to strengthen our border because of drug trafficking, criminals crossing, and the effect that it has on the U.S. economy. Drug trafficking is a very common issue. Acting Board Director Robert Hood says that we probably lead the nation in smuggling attempts, both alien and narcotic. So we have to be very diverse and very busy. Trafficking has been diverted with this wall to the ports, where our agents have the ability to use lights and canine patrol units and things of that nature. The OFO has made 4,822 criminal alien arrests in just this fiscal year. The Border Patrol has made 1,702. The mission of the Border Patrol is to prevent terrorism and terrorist weapons, like weapons of mass destruction, from entering into the United States. The OFO is here to prevent terrorism, smuggling, and immigration. Lastly, immigration is very costly on the U.S. economy. For one, it reduces wages because many of them are vastly underpaid. And also, it has a big effect on our local and federal law enforcement. So now you've seen how the Mexico-American border came to be what it is today, why many Americans want to strengthen this border. And lastly, I want to counteract that with why a lot of Americans feel that the border wall just isn't doing what it needs to. Averaging National Public Opinion poll conducted in 2018 show that 6 out of 10 Americans oppose a border wall. And they believe this because cartel will find a way around it. Cartel will find a way around it. Immigration courts are already backed up, and many of these undocumented workers are already here. Cartel can outsmart a border checkpoint. Traffickers are now starting to, are now starting to push gun parts instead of whole guns because it's easier to conceal and doesn't have an identification number. Immigration courts are poised to breaking point. But Trump has announced that he will be targeting 3 million more people for deportation. If this happens, our immigration court system will completely come to a halt. And lastly, Department of Homeland Security data reveals that many of the undocumented workers actually came here legally and just overstayed their visas. So between 2011 and 2016, total apprehensions at the southern border ranged between 320,000 and 479,000. In conclusion, I told you about how the Mexico-American border was built and how it looks today. Second, why many Americans feel that we need to strengthen this border. And I counteracted that with why many Americans feel that it's just not doing its job. Yes, this is a very hot button issue. And with the recent nomination of Trump, you have been selected to choose a side. Either you're for it or against it. There's no in between. Well, immigration, illegal or not, it's a humanitarian issue as much as it is an economic issue. So if you don't choose to learn about the underlying issues and possible solution, border wall or not, then I don't believe you are upholding our American values. America has many issues facing it today, but we need to learn the underlying problems. That way we can move into the future and progress with one less issue.